Hey guys, this is Lisa with your weekly Lyrical Aspirations Inspirational Message. So today I want to talk to you guys about how we can not only recognize but start to improve and grow our own self-value, our own self-worth. And I understand that in our lives, this is a difficult thing because we are very hypercritical of ourselves. And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing because we have to be able to look at ourselves honestly and locate those flaws so that we can start to change them. The problem comes into play when we begin to focus on those flaws only instead of how we can grow and develop and start to become the best versions of ourselves. So I want to share with you guys just a couple of things that we can start to implement that will help us to start to improve how we view ourselves and our own self-worth and self-love. So the very first thing that I challenge you to do, because I realize that this is hard, we give a lot of our energy on a daily basis to external forces, whether that be work, whether that be our family commitments, whether that be relationships. Whatever the case is, we put a lot of energy and focus external to ourselves. I just recommend that every single day that you give yourself at least, at minimum, a 10-minute timeout where you can just take some time to reflect on your day, to reflect on your life, to reflect on your choices, your decisions, and the outcomes of them. And that doesn't have to be this meditative state where everything is quiet and you've got incense burning and everything. No, it doesn't have to be that extreme. You could maybe just take a drive in the car, take a walk, maybe just sit in a room with your eyes closed for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and really just sit down and reflect. Take that time out to pay a little bit of attention to yourself. You deserve it. And that's the only way that you're going to be able to take the life experiences that you are having and start to learn from them and grow from them, is to really reflect on them on a regular basis. Now, another thing that we have to start doing is we have to understand that we must start looking at things from other people's perspectives as well. So, as we're engaging and interacting with people in our lives, we have to understand that, the way that I think is not necessarily the way that they think. Their beliefs, their ideas, their morals, everything is a little bit different than mine because they've had different experiences. And we must be able to open up our minds and be open to different ideas, to different thoughts, to different solutions that people may have for various things that we will go through in this life. But we have to be understanding that we do not know it all. So be open and able to listen and hear other perspectives, understanding that they're coming from a different place and you can still learn something from that. That will help you as you start to evolve to really learn and grow even more on a deeper level than what you are currently. Now, another thing that we've got to start doing is we got to start breaking some bad habits. Now, this is easier said than done. I get it. Habits sometimes happen without us even thinking. Like I have a particular habit of anytime there's blank space in a conversation with somebody, or what I call pregnant pauses of time that just seem so long to me, I'll fill it in with a filler word like anyways or anyhow, and that's a bad habit that I want to break. And so I have friends in my life that every time that I do it will call me out on it. And that's because they want me to be improving on myself. I've made it clear that I want to stop doing that. And so they add to that and make sure to call me out on it. And we want to make sure that when we do want to break a bad habit, that we are telling some people in our lives, like, hey, I'm working on this so that they can start to help you. Now, some of the bad habits, I could go on for days about bad habits because we all have them. But some of the bad habits that we, could start to look at are, bad habits of how we eat. Are we ingesting healthy foods into our lives? Because if we're not into our lives, into our bodies, if we're not ingesting healthy foods in on a regular basis, we may not have the capability to really be the best version of ourselves on a regular basis. So if you consistently go out and let's say you get fast food all the time, or a high percentage of the time, then maybe you just make some wiser decisions. I'm not saying that overnight you have to start eating, salads for lunch and, soup for dinner. And yeah, I'm not saying all of that. What I'm saying is just make some healthier selections, even if they're small selections. So instead of getting a soda, maybe you get water. Instead of getting French fries, maybe you get a side salad. So just make some small choices and small decisions that will make a big impact on your body. Now, the last thing that I want to talk about is, and this one, man, whew, man, I have found this to be extremely difficult. So I can't even fault anybody that is guilty of doing this. But guys, we have got to get the toxins out of our lives. And maybe you can't do it overnight, but little by little, you have to be able to, one, recognize a toxin when it's present, and two, start to work towards getting rid of that toxin because it is only going to make you sick over time. And that sickness could show itself in illnesses or it could show itself in depression. One way or the other, it's going to reflect. And so, what do I mean by toxins? Well, of course, we could talk about toxins that you put in your body. I just spoke about that, making small changes on how you can improve the foods that you intake into your body. But what I'm talking about when I talk about toxins and releasing them, I'm talking about those people in your life that are toxic. I'm talking about those people, that are dedicated to misunderstanding you, and you have been so dedicated to a person dedicated to misunderstanding you that those toxic people. What I'm talking about is those people that can never quite hear you when you talk about things that are going on with you or things that are bothering you. And how do you know that they're not listening? Well, maybe they just out tell you that they're not listening, or maybe they just continue to do the same things that continue to bother you. Maybe they're disrespectful in some way, and you've told them that you find it disrespectful. They continue to do it. That is toxic behavior. Somebody that when you try to have a conversation with them, they're consistently trying to argue against whatever you feel. That is toxic behavior. It's not productive, it's counterproductive to sit there and have a conversation with somebody who is so dedicated to not listening to you or not hearing you. And so, not only that, but there are people that will take from you. And I don't mean just money and valuable things on a materialistic level. There are people that will take your energy from you. But the minute that you need a little bit of energy from them, oh, they don't have any time or energy to give to you. That is toxic behavior, guys. And we got to stop making excuses for the people in our lives and the behaviors in which they display. If somebody wants to make time for you, they will. If somebody wants to listen to you, they will. Stop making excuses for people in your life that are toxic and dedicated to misunderstanding you. So, with that said, I want you to really start to take some time out to love you. And once you can do that, once you can implement some of these things in and you start taking care of not only your mind, your spirit, and your physical body, when you start paying attention to those things and making changes and making improvements, you will start to see the entire quality of your life start to change. So I want you to go out here, guys, make this an amazing week and make sure that you come back and check me out next week.